everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Beards podcast, even though she doesn't have a beard. And
Syd, that's right.
Syd,
we fucked up.
That's fine. This one is episode 35.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I looked at the board because that's where I keep it written.
The board
now.
is right?
Yeah, this time it's right because it says Weezer next to it. Right, we're doing Weezer, Pacific Daydream spoilers. We didn't even introduce ourselves.
We were at our 30th episode, and he looks dead set at the camera. He's like, episode 50, here we go.
I knew it. Yeah, that happens sometimes. My name is HSR.
What up, it's Syd.
And I'm Christen.
She's new here, as you can tell.
Her beard is growing in.
It's going to happen.
Slowly.
Yeah.
All right. So, Christen, talk about Weezer. How do you know them and all that fun stuff?
All right. I don't really know them. So I've kind of basically heard them on the radio a lot. And a lot of covers at school talent shows.
What particular Weezer songs?
Say It Ain't So.
Specifically
Mostly.
Say It Ain't So, which is that song that everyone covers.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's baffling.
I think so.
Like, I've never encountered that in my life. But that's okay.
Yeah, Say It Ain't So is like Santeria level.
I don't know what Santeria is.
Sublime, really?
Bro, I don't come from the same place you guys do.
I've been listening to
I mean,
Weezer
literally,
for a
I
long
might,
time.
but not in the universes. But, yeah, Weezer a long time. Syd?
Yeah, like in high school, they were one of those bands that just people knew. Songs like My Name is Jonas, Say It Ain't So, Hash Pipe, and then 2005 we discovered Beverly
he
Hills,
discovered.
Perfect Situation,
I was aware.
We Are All on Drugs,
Man.
and then just great songs. I love them. Love Weezer, but like I've always loved Weezer's singles. I've never like sat down and listened to a Weezer album. And okay, so the last Weezer single that I heard was If You Want Me to, and I Say Go, like 2008 or whatever, and I didn't realize that they've released like 6 albums since then.
Yeah.
So there's
Lots
a lot
of
of
Weezer.
Weezer that I'm missing.
My context is different, but before I get there, what do you listen to? People know us a little bit. What kind of music do you like? This is like your introduction.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of, there's
Her
no...
shirt says Korn.
My shirt says Korn, yes. But there's no specific dead set.
I know, but that's like a lame answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I love Evanescence, I love Korn, I love Tool, and I also write pop music. So,
There you go.
Like,
See, that's some
Not
She listens to
context.
metal, she writes pop.
There you
and
go.
metal, but
And
yeah,
metal.
both.
Boom. See, that's a cooler answer with some context and shit. Alright, so this is actually the second Weezer review for this show, which is a first for this show, because, I guess that much time has happened. We did the deluxe version of the White album, which
You did.
I will... Yeah,
Neither of us did
none
that.
of them did. So somewhere it'll be linked, and I did that with a guy who's no longer with us. And then... between that, I discovered this guy, the Rock Critic. I'm going to link this below because if you like Weezer and you haven't seen this dude's video series, it like documents everything you need to know about Weezer. Like, it is way good. Like,
It's like
each
The
one's it's like The Office, but each one's like an hour long plus, and it covers like the early years, this album, that album, the mistakes, the wins, the losses from like freaking the Green album or the Blue one, whichever the first one was, all the way up to the White album, and he does touch on the White album.
So yeah, interesting fact about Weezer, if you are coming in to them and you don't know that much about them, just to give you a little, I guess, feeling for their
Factoid.
personality.
Factoid.
They have 5 or 6 self-titled
There's
albums.
the blue one,
The
the green
red
one,
one,
the red one, the white one. I think it's 4.
Blue, green, red,
And white.
and white.
But they're titled Weezer.
Yeah, they're
Well,
all
there's
called
just no
Weezer.
title, they're all just called Weezer.
They're called
yeah.
Weezer. Yeah, and so they ended up being called these colored albums. Then there's Pinkerton. There's the one that starts with an M. There's Make Believe, because it's
Hurley.
another one. Hurley didn't technically have a name, fun fact. They were going to just, I think, also try to make that a self-titled album. But what happened is they realized everyone's just going to call it the Hurley album.
Yeah.
So they called it Hurley because they decided to use this picture, which is just Rivers Cuomo standing next to that guy. And... see, that's Weezer. They're weird like that. Rivers is weird like Rivers.
He's like the main songwriter.
Oh, man.
I don't know if he's the only original member left.
I don't know either.
I don't think so.
But I can tell you one thing. Rivers Cuomo was a character, and if you are interested in quirky personalities, go learn about this guy. He is so freaking interesting. Even if his music might not be your cup of tea. That's separate. Anyway.
So do you want to segue into this
Not
album
even.
title? Because
Not yet. Anyway, so...
man. Shut down.
Either way, I don't know any other
Pardon
older
for it.
shit because I want to specify. I'm not really a huge Weezer fan. I've listened to the entirety of the White album. because of this like channel, and otherwise I had like no connection to them in high school really. I know when Hashpipe came out, I knew of them. I didn't really like them in high school, so I ignored them.
Yeah, so just also prepare. There are probably going to be some arguments between me and Holden.
Right.
Because, like, I love shit like Beverly Hills, and he hates
I
that
don't.
shit.
I actually, like, 'cause the thing is, I liked the album. So when that came out in 2005, I really liked it, like, the singles then. And now I really don't like them anymore. And then I don't like a lot of that middle part because whatever. And then I heard the White Album, and that has songs I really like, but then there's also songs I don't like. And I feel like my perception of Weezer has always been that they're a singles band. They have songs that hit, and they just have shit that misses. And I'm okay with that, because when it hits, it freaking hits.
You said something last night that I really agree with. They throw everything at the wall.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see what sticks.
And I feel like in some ways it's a little bit of what Pacific Daydream's about. Yeah. Now we're segueing into the title. Happy?
So that title, do you feel like it's like they actually sat down and planned this title? This is the first time that like
no. This is an epiphany Rivers Cuomo had. Every story is Rivers Cuomo had an epiphany with insert surroundings, and then this happened, and we ended up with Pacific Daydream. I don't know the details, and if somebody out there does, or if you guys do, feel free to plug it in the comments and stuff. But as I
make something up.
What?
I'm telling her to make something up.
Yeah, you can go for that.
Oh wait, there's like Beach Boys, right? Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
There.
And like the single.
4 and 10.
Daydream.
I guess they're trying to say that this is a daydream on the Pacific coast, so this whole album's just his imagination as he's trying to relive his surfer boy days of... Anyway, and then the album cover's pretty cool, actually. I like it. I think it's well designed.
It's like a little girl swinging in space.
And then you see like the earth and everything, and maybe it's just appealing to the geek in me, but I think it looks really cool as a thumbnail. I think it looks really cool as like a
That's like your
album.
one criteria. Yo, if it looks good as a thumbnail, you
well
nailed
designed.
the album
I
cover.
don't actually care about the visual. I only started caring about the albums because other people were like, we should care more about the cover. Like, it matters. And I'm like, okay. So now I've been looking at them more. But really, most album covers kind of suck. And so really, like, I don't get why half of this is cool. So for me, if it looks really nice as a thumbnail, I know it's well designed from a graphical design perspective. As a result, that's a great criteria for an album when 80% of your freaking promotion is going to be that big. Therefore, that's a good criteria to evaluate a band on. Do they have the wisdom to pick a proper album cover?
I like it. It makes me feel young.
It's kind of intriguing. I mean, I would more pick it up or click on it or something, right? Than if it was just not that.
For example, a color.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, it's not just a color. It's a color with the band.
That's what I'm... Oh, yeah, okay, fine.
It's always got the 4 members standing
And
there.
the W.
And that one doesn't.
Kind of looks like the Wonder Woman
this
W.
This is the
their
other
logo.
half of their album covers, which are not the self-titled series of boring. I mean, they're boring. They're iconic, but they're boring. This is like when they do weird shit and have designs put on their albums.
All right. So, you know that Mexican Fender?
Yeah, what's up?
What do you do with your hands when you're singing? Do you just hold on?
Okay, let's be like courteous. How'd you feel about the song?
It wasn't bad. I didn't not like
It's
it.
Halloween. We're gonna let that one go.
I don't know what I did wrong there. I feel like
How'd you feel?
How did you feel?
How did I feel?
Yeah.
what a deflection. Sheesh.
I liked it. I mean, okay. So from Weezer, I usually expect very minimal production, right? So right off the bat, this is jarring. And again, I don't know what they've done the last 5 or 6 years. But it sounds very, very clean and very, very glossy. I dig the track. It's not going to make my top 5 Weezer songs ever. It's catchy enough, I guess. It sounds kind of like Pour Some Sugar on Me, but a little more emo.
Emo sugar.
Yeah. This is some fluff. I am not impressed at this point. Actually, I think it's a good opener.
What were you gonna? Shit.
It's a shit song, but it's not that shit. It's just like, it's a shit opener, but it's a good opener for the album. Like, it does nothing an opener is supposed to do for me. It's not engaging. It doesn't have any real hooks in this song. Like, there's nothing that hooks me into it, right? not like it doesn't have a chorus, but like when you really listen to this, it's got this bland, saltless feel to it where it goes through the motions, and like literally he's crewing, he's like singing about a lady. I still like,
Yeah, and I
he
mean,
can't get. She has a boyfriend and stuff, and you're like, dude, you're married and shit. Like, what do you? What?
it's missing. It's missing. Like, there's no personality to
exactly.
it.
It's honestly like, look, I know Rivers Cuomo can write this shit to death because like, half his career is probably written about women in some way or another, and I'm okay with that. And I know that he'll just piece lyrics together from anything to put a song together, which again I'm okay with. But it's just like he met some singer girl. And she had a boyfriend, and he fell in love with her.
Right, there's a line, and we know we were gonna end up jamming, and it's like, yeah,
okay, and then they can relate as singers. Like, how do you hold your mic when you're on stage? It's like, all right, Rivers, that is such a. What I like about it is how oddly specific he gets, and that's my favorite part of going through like his lyrics. It's because he gets so oddly specific, but it ends up not saying a lot.
Because it's. Again, usually you get the sense from the music that he's like this underdog, right? They're like, Weezer are the top losers in the music industry.
Well, they were.
They were, and now this album sounds like they've won. But
I'm going to disagree with
them.
you. See, this album has one consistent tone the whole way through, I find. It's happy music laced with melancholy sadness. That's what they were going for.
That's always what they do, but...
They have a wider variety of emotions expressed usually than that. I mean, yes, that's what they do, but they're usually better at it, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. They're usually better at it.
Anyway.
I'm trying to refrain from saying things like, I prefer the old Weezer.
See, I don't know a lot about the old Weezer, but this was the second single off this album, and I know enough about Weezer singles to know that this
one
doesn't
bang as
have
hard.
like it's there's no draw to it. Like if you're gonna listen to this, it's smooth. You can put this on in the background or on an elevator or in a grocery store, and it would be great.
Like it's not gonna turn heads as like a return to form the same way Pork and Beans did when it came out.
Yeah, but that was mostly a music video. But
the song is so good though.
Yeah, I agree, but let's be real. They played YouTube well. That's why that song got big. It wasn't that substantial.
Such a good song.
This
one
one
knows the way to reach the top of the charts.
Agreed. In the background. Yeah, anyway, so this track did nothing like that for me. The lyrics were okay. It was just I'm kind of like.
Okay, hang on. We've been talking a lot. We got a new guest here.
I was getting there.
Come on, kiddo. You gotta.
Yeah, you do have to contribute, otherwise.
Okay. Yes, I am contributing. No, I don't know. I mean, I just when you hear it like the first few seconds, I just found it sounds like not a mainstream pop song that's like electronic and stuff, but still pretty much like a teen summer love melancholy song rather than like what I expected to hear from Weezer, from what I've heard in the past, and also from the radio stations that it is played on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a bad song. It's just not what I expected.
It's the fluffiest thing that's gonna get played on rock radio.
It's pretty fluffy. You know what? My impression at this point was they did the Linkin Park thing, which
but not like Linkin Park actually put some thought and some soul into that pop record.
But what I mean by that is they decided to take their existing sound and throw pop at it, because this is a pop sound.
It's a very pop sound.
But it's still a Weezer sound.
They've always been a pop band.
Hold on. But what I mean is more like modern Billboard 40 pop.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it in any kind of a disrespectful thing. I like what Linkin Park did with it, and I'm not even saying this is bad. I give this a 3.5 because it wasn't engaging to me, but it's not a bad song.
I'm stuck between a 3.5 and a 4, like a 3.7.
I'd say the same.
3.7?
There's nothing terrible or bad about it.
Yeah, like it's not an offensive song. It's just it's not the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
No, sing from your heart, 'cause it's gonna be fun.
Rivers. So this song, like lyrically, is just so all over the place. Literally, it's got these little like breaks of like 3-4 lines, and every one of them's like a unique little like subject and stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's like the chorus kicks in, but like, let's get away from it all. Ode to the Beach Boys. And it's just a chorus of his love of the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Back into more Rivers Cuomo-y randomness. But listen, I like it. This song is a little more of like, had this opened the album, it has more of that hook and engagement to it because the song's got a little more life in it. It feels more like there's some personality. He has observations and real introspections. Like he criticizes the aimlessness of the world in this lyric. He comments on how it seems to be like a hip-hop culture is everywhere these days, which, good or bad, is an interesting statement now that it's the #1 most popular music in the world, which is crazy. And then he has shit like, I'm a remarkable guy. I keep you trying new things. I keep you young, which is kind of like saying, hey, look, I wrote this weird-ass album to throw you through a loop. I'm always coming up with new stuff, which is fair. He's one of the few guys, I think, who can say that, good or bad. He keeps doing that.
Yeah, he keeps trying new things.
So, end of the day, I like what he did. It's not excellent. It's not one of the best Weezer tracks I've ever heard, but
It's a little forgettable.
it's more in tune with like interest, right? Like I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to this, but I'm more okay with this sound. It's a more pleasant experience than the other one.
It's still very shiny. It's still very glossy. And
Okay
I mean,
with that.
the thing is, he has a really recognizable voice. Like, in the past, you heard Rivers Cuomo singing, like, you know that's Rivers Cuomo. And on this record, I feel like because of the production and because of the sheen that's put on his voice, it's made a little bit more by the numbers.
Maybe
And
he can't hit the notes as well because he's an old man. Because he's old. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's worth noting he ain't in the 90s no more.
Fine.
I mean, it also just depends on the production, right? What they put his voice through, and if it's very raw or not.
Yeah.
That's always a big difference in like.
And that's usually, like,
Yeah.
from what I know of them, they're usually, they're not produced. Like, it sounds good. It sounds like a
Dude,
major label
it's
record.
like
But
pick an album and they chose a new direction and how they approached it. Like that's I think why that line was interesting to me. It's because there isn't that consistency in Weezer to be like they have that sound. Like they might have just they fucked around with so many different ways of making music. They had one album where they flipped up who was the drummer and all of this. Just the same guys playing different instruments and whatnot.
Which, well, I mean, they're musicians, so they can do shit like that, and it works.
So what I'm saying is I don't know. For me, it still sounded like Rivers Cuomo. It didn't necessarily sound like a Weezer song to me, though, except for the way he wrote it. So the way the lyrics were that was super, like, yeah, that makes sense. But then everything behind it, it kind of felt like an ode to the Beach Boys mixed with modern pop. And I'm okay with it. I didn't hate it at all. I give it a 4.
You gave it 3.5.
3.5.
But what did you think
yeah,
about it?
come
'Cause you
on.
Yeah,
gotta
I need to
elaborate.
validate that exactly. I don't know. I just found again very pop, but also very like happy-go-lucky, like
Yeah.
yay, and it's something that I think I wouldn't listen to in the same way as another song just
You know
because
what?
of the vibe you get from it. So maybe lyrically it actually is very meaningful, but it just
It
somewhat.
has some meaningful lyrics mixed with some Weezer lyrics.
It's tangential. Like, it kind of, it's just train of thought type of thing.
Yeah, a lot of lyric. That's a good way to do it. You can mock me all you want. I feel like
You were mocking me,
if
man.
you're at a barbecue, this
Yeah.
is actually really good. If you're on the beach, it's pretty good. If you're by a fire,
A lot of
It's
this
pretty
record,
good.
but that's it. It's definitely a summer record, which is strange that it's coming out in October.
but
But it feels like very much background music.
yeah, definitely not something like I didn't even want to go see live at this point. So far, none of these I don't want to go see those live.
And again, Weezer has always kind of been a band that even though they're like a pop band, there's still, like, musically, it's interesting enough that you want to take a second, listen, dig in a little bit. And these songs so far in these first two, I
I'm gonna
haven't heard
say-
anything that, like...
I would go back to Beach Boys and give it more time because my next thought after like hearing this one is maybe it's some sleeper music, right? Because the next track we'll talk about a bit is where I can really validate this more, but I don't know that the album's been out long enough for me to digest it. When we did the White Album, there were a couple of songs where on first listen it was like, this has nothing, like exactly what we're saying. And then 4 months later, I'm like so hooked line and sinker into it. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen on this because I'm less in tune with the type of music they're playing with personally. But it makes me say that there might be more depth in some of these tracks if you're willing to give it a few listens over time.
What do you guys think? Deep or not deep?
Anyway, that was just my 2 cents.
No, I think that makes sense. It's just that one didn't like.
Yeah.
I don't think it had that initial hook that
But-
you would need to then say, oh, well, I want to get.
I mean,
more
it
into,
feels like
deeper.
summer.
Yeah, because that track did have that hook.
So this song
This
is
song
weird.
is definitely weird. So this one, I remember when it dropped, I was already like, we were reviewing for a minute, so I'm watching like releases, and it was not that long after like we did the other Weezer review, me, not we, and it was just so different than that album. And I plussed it because I was curious, and I said, that means Weezer's gonna have a new album. We're gonna have to review it one day. Look at that, that shit happened. And then it came out, and by now I've been listening to this since the spring, because that's how long this song's been out for, and it keeps coming up on random on my like Spotify. And the more I listen to it, the more I like it, because it's one of those songs that it just grows on you. Like, I don't know why, but this one had a hook to it, right? I like the chorus.
I mean,
You might not like the build up to the chorus, as
It's
we were
not-
discussing, but the chorus has a hook to it. There's a
It does.
snare to that. It's actually got this was a great lead single for this album because it made me more curious about it. I actually was like, I want to know what the hell accompanies this random ass Weezer song, right? Because it feels like Weezer gone crazy to a degree, right? But it feels like what I was kind of hoping more for on this side. It feels like summer. I
It
guess.
feels kind like, and Brody brought this up. A friend of mine brought this up with me last night. It feels a lot like 21 Pilots.
Okay.
Yes, I was
Um,
going to say that.
yeah.
Yes.
It's very hip hop, but very like melancholy hip hop until it hits kind of the I guess,
Okay,
The-
I see that.
do you call that the drop where the
Yeah.
where the drums cut out?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. That part is weird. The whole thing again
I think
is very
it's,
shiny.
It's
and
really
very
well
glossy.
executed, but it also like evidently they're experimenting in this polished sound. Okay, so that's established, and I'm not trying to say your criticism is invalid. It's weird.
It's weird, and I'm
And-
still not big on the hook. It hasn't worked its
You
way
know what,
into my
man?
ear the same
it's
way.
one of those songs where like you have to have like I had like a moment. I was just having like the worst fucking day. And this shit came on, and you're just like, and you just like get so fucking into it. And I know
Fucking
that's
rip your shirt like
it's
on the
super
beach,
like anecdotal and shouldn't count for much, but it does because fuck it, I'm a subjective person at the end of the day. And it grew on me. It really did. I don't think objectively, it's a 4 on 5. This is not like an amazing song, but it's a really fun song with some obscure ass fucking lyrics, right? Like there's one line that really bothers me, and it's where he goes, "I'm spiritual, not religious. I'm a Libra, if it matters." And the whole song is kind of written like that, with these little couplets of random things. And Weezer does this well. They're able to take these little situational moments of ideas, string 8 non-related things together, and make a verse about something. And I find it a really impressive songwriting tool. And like, maybe even I'll copy him one day because I think it's cool. But it makes it so weird to listen to. That weird is what I'm end up left with, because that line will be really dope, and then the next line will be like, "I'm a Libra if it matters." Nobody cares, Rivers. Sometimes you just say some shit where like nobody cares. That's how I feel.
Like it always feels like he's the nerd trying to talk to the girl at the dance,
know.
but like sweating, and his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are
But
heavy, and
I
he's
know
like,
that you're a dude who's married, who's famous and all this now, because this is album 11, I believe. And I don't care that you're, like, everyone who cares knows you're and maybe I'm just being petty here, and that line, I've heard it so many times, it bothers me.
3.5.
Yeah. Anyway, but the young
Did you,
lady has not spoken yet.
okay. I don't know. I mean, it just I liked it, but it was really, really just something that I think I would hear on a pop radio station, but with more bass. So if it had like a bit more of a like backing to it and a bit more of a like dance beat, it would 100%.
Okay, so you heard it here
But, like-
first. It's not bassy enough to be pop. It's not heavy enough to be rock. It's like
It's a nice in between.
It's
No,
a
I
safe
don't know.
in-between.
That's my opinion. But I think it was very cleverly structured. But again,
Elaborate.
not well, just everything. And I think there was like a good hook, and especially the what do you call it? The change in key, I guess, or in his voice.
where he goes to falsetto.
Yeah. So I think that was
Beautiful. I'm
No, it was
with you.
really good, but also very characteristic of what's in now, I find.
I'll give him
Yeah.
credit. He experimented with that on the last album before it was very in. So for him, it felt like a good extension to a couple of the songs on the last album. I just wanted to say that's how I took that. So because I feel like he did this song, and then a lot of the pop music ended up going a lot more in that direction. Because keep in mind, this came out in like March, April, like the spring,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna say Rivers Cuomo influenced pop culture because I don't have any foundation, but I don't
When?
know
Because
that
he did in the 90s.
I meant like now.
Okay.
I've just specified. Relax yourself, Weezer's fans. I see you already typing and stuff.
Listen, man, this is what the history of
Now, we
Weezer.
appreciate
Remember, he
your
watched
comments.
a documentary. We're linking to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
It's-
link to part 1, and you can fucking go from there. And
Figure it out.
I
You're
admit
a
it,
grown-ass man.
guys. I like your comments. Please feel free to hate on me. Don't take it like that. I'm just trying to respond to you in advance. Ultimately, I don't feel like it was. I don't feel like this song was as trend hoppy following pop as the previous two.
But
which I thought
this one sounds very like, again, to me it sounds like something 21 Pilots would do, or something like.
Man, I really like them. I don't see it as much. Maybe the newer stuff they're doing, maybe, but not their older stuff.
Heathens, or like.
Yeah, the
that's
beginning of the song
really-
is very close.
Really,
Yeah.
but I feel like Heathens was a pop song made for a Grammy nom, rather than actually being their sound.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Because I've
kind of their
actually,
whole shtick, isn't it?
nah, man, I've listened to.
They're like they're
The newer
like
stuff
they're like
anyway, I
artsy
think.
pop. They're
Nah,
like,
'cause I
look,
listen-
my neck is painted
Dude,
black.
I'm gonna
pop.
say that if you actually go check out the 2 albums that they did prior to Heathens, it's not that. It's pretty sick. Like hands down, I bumped them way up in my list of artists I respect.
Plot twist: this is a 21 Pilots review.
We should review something by them then. Sure. Yes, I agree. Thanks. Good idea, buddy.
Do it.
On that note, I give it a 4. It's okay. It's not amazing. It's a good song.
I would give it a 4 too, and I think they hit the nail on the
5.
head with the title. It really does feel like summer.
All right.
It's
So
October. I gave it a 3.5.
happy hour. Fuck you, Syd. I like this song a lot. This
Holden
is so
likes this
far
song
my
a
like
lot.
favorite track I've heard off this album.
This is Holden's favorite song on this album.
Yeah, I know, because we were just off camera. They're like, this is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck that shit. This is some deep-ass, motherfucking, relatable-ass music
You had to
here.
get that in before, you know.
Oh, of course. I had to, like, hype up some shit. I didn't want no melancholy haters up on this, because this is a melancholy song, so we needed some joy to counterbalance it. Anyway, I like this song because it's a lot about escapism and trying to avoid dealing with the harsh realities through this hedonistic pursuits and the kind of chaos that ensues with it. And I think that the
Happy
music
hour.
that they chose really fits that. And I feel like if you get into this energy where the music's as spaced out as what the lyrics are. It actually, like, everything coincides on this song, and it has like an alignment to it. And it is this dreary, monotonous kind of vibe because it's about a dreary, monotonous thing, like the monotony and dreariness of life. And so in this case, I don't know how they could have done it. They kept it short. It's not even 3 minutes. So they came in, they didn't really punch that hard because there's not a lot of punch up on this album.
Not a lot of
And
punch
then
up
they
on this
came
album.
out, but what they did with emotions on this, I think,
They
was
pulled out
really
in time.
it was really like an emotional experience here. There's a lot of power in it, and I feel like Rivers actually is this guy. Like, this is more like him today,
Yeah.
trying to deal with things. And I felt like, okay, this lyrically is a little bit more of what I was hoping for, to see where he's at now. And I totally believe this. I feel like I could almost be in this song. It could have been about me, which is a great feeling to find in a track and maybe impacts my grade a bit. But I don't think the music's bad. It's got that vibe that, like, you just roll with it, and it doesn't break it. There's no mistakes along the way. It's not perfect, but I really like it and give it a 4.5.
There are no mistakes.
I didn't see any.
How many albums do we review where there are mistakes in the recording?
I don't know.
I want this now. Okay, if you guys can find like a professional recording from a major label band that has mistakes on it, please let me
Okay,
know.
what I mean by
I'm fascinated
mistakes
now.
is like artistic choices that turned into mistakes. Not
Okay,
like,
fair enough.
Not like this song didn't go in a weird direction. It didn't have an experimental build-up. It was pretty safe, I'll give you that, but it worked. Okay, go on. Now shit on it.
I like the bass line. This cute little like boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-da-doom, boom. It's a nice little groove, kind of Motowny. I still feel like it's kind of a forgettable song. Like, it feels a little more like Weezer. It's a little more stripped back in terms of the production, but it's also a little more stripped back in terms of the music, so that makes sense. It's very calming. I agree with you. I see high school kids dancing to this.
I don't know if I said that on camera.
I don't know if you said that on camera.
No,
Holden said
yeah.
that at some point. Whatever.
It's like a slow dance jam.
I still can't, like,
Kinda.
it doesn't hit the 4 for me. It's still a
Kinda.
3.5.
I don't know.
It's not a bad song, but it's not like I'm not hooked on this record yet. Like, I'm not on board yet.
Yeah, it's hard to get on board with this one, I'll be honest. I do like this one, but I admit it might be really subjective and my opinion's skewed. That's entirely possible that's what's happening here.
Maybe. I mean, I haven't again really listened to this album in depth, so my impressions are more my first impressions of the song, like after hearing it once or twice, and I'm not crazy about this one because it just seems very, like, there's not much variation, there's not much of a build. I know, I'm sorry, it's a lot. It's just, and like, again, I haven't listened to the lyrics, right? So I'm not reviewing it in terms of that. It's more just the sound of it, but it is kind of more towards what I would expect to hear from Weezer. So it's not a bad song. It's just, in comparison to some of the other songs, it's like very...
Yes. It does lack a certain level of growth that might be displayed in the other ones. That's fine. You're allowed to feel that way. What
What's
did
the next
you
one
give
called?
it?
Oh.
A 3.
Oof. Shots
3.5.
fired.
3.5.
Oh, 3 is not like a bad
It's
mark.
not bad.
Because anything below 3 is when it starts to get bad. Like, we live in Quebec, 60%'s pass. 3 is a pass. Doesn't fail.
They passed. Congratulations,
All right,
Weezers. What, 11 albums in? You passed.
Weekend Woman is the next track.
Finally, one that I really liked. I really like this song. It's got a cool groove. It's got some interesting changes. The middle section is really cool. It's very driving. I'll let you guys compare it to other bands so that I don't steal everything you're gonna say.
You don't
But,
even know what I'm going to say. I'm going to compare it to Weezer. Go ahead. Keep
Whoa!
talking.
Plot twist. I give it a 4 and I'm done. I'm out. Mic drop. Peace.
Oh, good. I like this one. I don't know. It was catchy, and the bridge. I know more content,
keep
right?
going, keep going.
The bridge. I don't know. Very reminiscent of the Beatles, kind of, or their vibe at least. It was very, like, I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't bad and it wasn't good. It was like it fits, like, I don't know.
Some guys went into the studio. They played some instruments. I listened to
I
the
just
finished
don't know
product.
what to say about this song. I just like it, so I think
That's okay.
a 4. I mean,
So, I don't like it as much. I feel like it was blander. Like, I feel like you guys are totally right. It is totally like a lot of other things. This one, it's like instead of going with new pop, they went with old pop. Like old pop.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I feel like the
But-
hooks were just a little bit stronger on this one.
But I feel like the subject matter of this song was just boring. It's another song about Rivers Cuomo finding love through drugs. This, like,
Don't
idea.
do drugs.
And it's not actually that boring. It just felt boring. So it's like, and then the idea of how he meets this girl on Sunday and he's got to go through the whole boringness of, like, life through the week to get to this girl on the weekend. And the whole time I'm going, so you're married and this is your mistress.
Okay.
And I know maybe this is totally an unfair way to look at it. And maybe it is. Maybe just because I care about Rivers enough to have learned about him. But I look at this like it's another escapist song about women and not being, which is okay. But I was more interested in getting to know Rivers some more. I feel like, and I'm not getting to know Rivers a little more here. It's more.
We want you to open up, Rivers. We need.
I feel like the subject matter, like he did this on the last album with Do You Want to Get High? And that was amazing. And I felt like this is a weak version of Do You Want to Get High? And maybe, again, that's an unfair way to look at it. But I found this to be completely less stimulating than a lot of other ones. I liked the last one better. It was more interesting. At least the subject matter was interesting. This one was the same song, but about a woman. It's the same song as Happy Hour, but about a woman and love.
But musically more interesting.
I disagree, but you guys are more prone to like it, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't care. I give it a 3.5. I think it's not that great, but I give them the proficiency points of effectively not making mistakes in the studio. See what I did
I
there?
don't think we're getting it. But I think there's a difference between also like definitely just looking at it musically and looking at it lyrically, and I think we might also have contrasting opinions sometimes because of the way.
It's also just
that
the
we look at
general
it, but
background of the musics we
yeah.
might listen to. I feel like I'm not as into the old-timey stuff, so I'm less interested already with their reference material. Like, I'm not a huge Beatles fan, so if
Neither
they
am
are
I.
comparing to the Beatles, so it's cool, I guess, that you guys can pay homage to the 60s or whatever with your shit. But to me, it just kind of fell flat of the mark and didn't have the life and the energy that I was hoping for. Something.
I'm not gonna sit here and start touching on the Beatles in a podcast about music and get railed in the comments.
Which is
by,
fine.
like,
I'm allowed my opinion, and if it gets us comments, SEO points. Saying it now, folks. At the end of the day, it's just not substantial. I get that you like it. What'd you give it?
I give it a 4. This is
Okay.
my first 4. This is the first song that I was like, I can vibe to this. I would listen to this again. It felt a little more honest. It's a fluffy song, but it's fluff the way that Weezer have done it in the past and have succeeded with it. Like, it feels like a single that this to me would be a single that would rank up with like Perfect Situation.
I believe it was a
Or
single
there you go. It was a single. There was a lyric video to it.
with weird
Some
animations.
promotion. It's
Anyway.
got like a Wikipedia page probably.
Maybe.
What did you give it?
Yeah.
Me?
You.
Oh yeah, I didn't rate it. Rated
No.
4, I think.
All right.
Well,
See, anyway, QB
I don't know,
Blitz.
just because it wasn't like I thought it was kind of, I liked it kind of like I liked Feels Like Summer, except this one it didn't feel like just a summer song. It felt like
Feels like winter. Sometimes.
feels like all seasons.
Yeah.
Feels like we got to do a QB Blitz, yo. Fucked up. This is the song that I was complaining about with the drugs. I feel like I did this 2 weeks in a row and it's bad. But yeah, so I fucked up and this was more of it. The last one was just about more of the happy hour without the drugs part, just the escapism with the love and wanting that new woman.
Alcohol is still a drug.
Yeah, and this one is a lot more about drugs to find love. He feels very isolated. He feels disconnected. And it's kind of like a lighter version of Do You Want to Get High? So that's what I meant to say on this song, not the last one for those people who judged me.
Spoilers.
On that note, I actually feel very similarly to the last song on this. I don't find it musically that profound or interesting. Like, it's again, he went from new pop to old pop. It kind of has that old 60s Beach Boys-y kind of fluffy niceness to it, but it also just feels like Weezer.
It feels like Weezer, but I like that. Like, I like Weezer's sound, and I'm not saying I don't want them to change, but the change on the first few tracks on this record feels very glossy and very marketable and very. And I don't think that they sold out. I think it's an experiment. I think they're trying new things.
I think that they shouted out the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And clearly he's obsessed with the sound, and he wanted to make his own version of the album and throw his own sound on it.
But this the last track and this track is starting to feel a little more like the Weezer that I would want to listen to. And I'm being super subjective here. But I like this track. I like the way it builds. I like the acoustic guitar in the beginning. I like the nakedness on the voice again. I prefer when his voice doesn't have effects because you can hear the emotion, you can hear the honesty in what he's singing, even if it's just fluffy. What he's singing, like he's telling a story because he's a good storyteller. And I like the way I even like the really glossy production on the bridge in this one because it gives it kind of a magical lift.
Adds life.
Yeah, to a song that already has life in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, it had like drums kicking in along the way, and it did have progressions. It just wasn't that great for me. Anyway.
I mean, I give this song a 4.5. I think it's a really solid tune.
I gave it a 3.5. It's better than boring, but it's not engaging. For me.
And
I think I'm kind of in between both of you, so I'd say like it's not
she is definitely right in between both of us.
That's a
on
literal
this couch.
statement.
exactly.
What?
Don't even. But
What did you say?
I said that's a literal statement.
That is a literal
Yes, it
statement.
is.
I don't know what you
I
thought
am
I said.
literally in between both of you.
And-
Anyways,
and figuratively between us on this specific song issue.
exactly.
Onions have
Therefore-
layers. All right.
Are you done? Or you want to keep going? Okay.
I do want to keep going, but you may
Okay,
continue.
good. Well, too
You-
bad. No, I agree with you. What you said about it's just, it's kind of not, like, I don't know how to say it. There's just not a lot in it, like, at the beginning. It just didn't get me right away, but I liked the bridge.
Yeah,
feel
the bridge is
it
nice.
was- like, they put effort into it, and it's very not vocally rich. I mean, there's harmonies, there's background singers,
Yeah.
there's all this stuff going on.
There's wind chimes. Gotta love the wind chimes. It does kind of the same thing to me that Little Black Submarine by the Black Keys does. Like, it starts off really, really sparse. There's not a lot going on, and then it gets a little heavier. Then there's, like, the midsection, and it's similar length, too. I think Little Black Submarine is something like 2.5 minutes. Like, it's a really short song. This one's a little more standard pop length. But, like, it does a lot with its runtime.
I mean, I'm not trying to shit on the track. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it doesn't interest me.
Fair
That's
enough.
all I was going for. It's not bad.
Maybe if you tried a little Sweet Mary.
Maybe. Fuck your pen.
'Cause if I did, she might die. I just
This was my least favorite track on the entire freaking album. It was bland. It was boring. The bridge does breathe life in, so far they've managed to be A+ on their bridges across the board on this album. Unfortunately, the bridge is kind of far into the song to be trying to hook me, so weird moves. He's again longing for people. He has blind faith in this particular love that can rescue him from shit. More Rivers lyrics for the verses. And it's about this time that I remembered that my problem with Rivers is he sounds like a creeper so often. And that's
well,
what
he's a loser, and he comes off like...
But
I'm
like,
kind of watching the girl from the corner, and I'm
it's
like,
like
I
you-
wish I
you-
could have her.
you
type
look
thing.
at the various news issues happening today, and it's just like Rivers, the way you paint yourself, dude. Like
Like, he's
you're-
the hashtag Me Too dude. Like, he's the one behind that story.
Like, yeah, like think about it. This song is like he's creepily obsessing over some women to save him from his problems and stuff. And then let's say she doesn't cooperate. That's how the story starts with this song. This is the beginning of and I'm not trying to be like a bad hater here or whatever, but that's just what I took away. It's well-made art. It's really not bad lyricism or whatever, but like this song particularly is kind of boring to me musically. Other people I could see really liking it. I know a lot of people who dig this slow, calm shit. I'm not one of them. But yeah, no, I was just left with this feeling that he was a creeper, and so I gave it a 3.
Yeah, this one was the kind of cheese that I can't forgive from anyone. And I mean, you expect a level of cheese when you go into a band like Weezer or any pop band, but this one was just really like it was Kraft thin sliced cheese.
Yeah.
And the bridge
that's actually classified as a plastic, not a cheese.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the bridge, you're right, it does breathe a little life into it, but it's still more
It's
of
like
that.
fucking 2.5, 3 minutes in. Like,
And, you know, and again, Weezer have always been really strong on bridges. You look at a song like Say It Ain't So, the Dear Daddy, I Write You, or something like
Yeah.
Island in the Sun, where it's like this happy, fluffy song, and then all of a sudden it turns into this like heavy grunge rocker, and then it goes, and
but
they
those
really play
songs
with
gave
that.
you some meat before
Yeah.
you got to the bridge
And
to enjoy
exactly,
your
and-
potatoes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, this bridge, it feels like them doing a less entertaining version of what they're really good at. And it doesn't feel. There's no tongue in cheek. There's no sarcasm. There's no
It's a
there's no
genuine
anything
obsession.
to justify this level of sweetness. You know what I mean?
It was sweet.
It sounded like another song, another soft song. It wasn't really hooking. I just heard it and it was like, oh, one of these songs again. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I have this overall impression that like in the last week maybe I've just been listening to a whole bunch of more pop music, or I guess dark pop music, and kind of all sorts of things, right? Not one band in particular. And then
She is much more in tune with the pop world than we are, by the
Yeah.
way. That's why she's
Right
here.
now, too.
She's not turning 30 next week.
I'm 19, so
Happy birthday, Holden.
Next week.
happy early birthday. It kind of like, so I listened to all of that stuff. It was just constantly on the background, and then I put this on, and it's kind of almost blended, and some of the songs stuck out, but I feel like most of them, like I couldn't distinguish them and say, oh, this sounds like maybe it would be the Weezer that I've heard in the past, or this sounds like something different, and this would be one of those songs.
Like, it's very modern, but it doesn't stand out among the pack. Like, it's...
Yeah.
So what'd you give it?
3. Because I mean, it wasn't bad. Again, it's not a bad song. It's just, to me especially, like a slow song like that, I just don't want to listen to the whole
what
thing.
you're saying is Weezer failed to get right.
Did I give it a grade?
I don't know.
I don't think I gave it a grade. You tried, buddy. You tried, but you didn't get it right. I give it a 3. First 3 that I've given in a while. All right, Holden, get right.
Yeah, we'll
So
see
happy
if that
about that.
stays in the podcast.
Probably knows I hate to be the man in your phone.
I love this track. This song is so freaking great. See, this is a song about a girl, because it's Weezer on this album in particular. But it's different. It's like this girl's waiting for him to get his shit together, and he wants to be with her, and it's the obsession and the same kind of feeling, but like no matter what he does, he just knows he can't get it right. And like he's like, but you're not going to tell me it's over. You keep putting up with stuff, but I know it's over. And like that bridge might be the best bridge on the album in terms of how it sums up the real crux of the song and etc. And like from a songwriting perspective, this is a smash, man. Like this might be the strongest thing on this album, hands down. The music, I don't know that it was overly distinct or interesting or original in the regards of not being pop or whatever, but compared to the last 3 or 4, it lifted me. I felt like relief. I felt like some fucking life on this album. Like something is happening here. And those drums, like, they're not original, but man, they're fucking fun.
Pumping.
And like literally the last song felt like the slow march to death, and this is like life
Wait,
again.
he's not dead yet. Get the defibrillator.
And so like to have the great energy, you can feel him, you can feel his honesty on this track, you can feel that there's a real subject matter to be explored, and like his failings to live up to the expectations that he knows he can't have, and waiting for that like hammer to fall and shit. Like woof, 4.5. Like this is what I wanted for I don't care if it sounds like Weezer. I care that Rivers Cuomo put some effort into writing some honest-ass, interesting music. Some of these songs feel like he just had the hook or whatever, and he threw shit around it.
Yeah.
This feels like he was feeling something and put it down, and I admire that in terms of it and everything, the package, it all works together.
I like this one as a 2017 pop song. Like I kind of feel like I have to separate it as like not a Weezer song. Like it's very experimental in terms of them.
Right.
And I dig it. I really do dig the song. I feel like the bridge instrumentally kind of does what a bridge in this song is supposed to do. That like do. Like it doesn't. There's nothing to really differentiate it from other songs that have done. It's not bad. I'm just like I would have liked a little more. It is honest. And again, I like the way it comes back in. The last chorus is really driving, and they add whatever more fluff and more muff. I did just say muff. I give it a 4 because I dig the song. I like the hook. I like the chorus. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I think what you meant about the bridge, like what I liked about it is it has that. It's kind of, you find it in a lot of songs lately where it's like, it's up and like upbeat and hype, and then it kind of brings you down. Like it slows it down, and it's like moment of truth. Like,
yeah.
Here's what's happening, and then it goes back.
It does feel very moment of truth.
Yeah.
Very
like agreed.
Sudden realization.
So I think that was cool. I really like the song. Like I think it's one of the greatest ones on this album. The only thing is, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just something that I realized is the first time I listened to it, I just thought, I've heard this before. Like, and I mean, I couldn't have heard it before, right? Because like you said, it just came out with the album. But it was like, I know this song. Like,
I feel like that was kind of your impression of the whole album.
It was, but literally. Specifically this song, I was like, I know this.
I feel like Ed Sheeran released a song with the very similar drum patterns, or somebody like that did, and it's the drums.
Mm-hmm.
The drums.
That's what it is.
Feel cut copy paste from a lot of modern music.
They do.
But
they feel very
the other
copy-paste.
instruments kind of make a little more of a unique thing. But really, the rhythm driving it is non-distinct.
And I mean, the thing is, again, like it
didn't need it
instrumentally. You're gonna like it's gonna sound like a band, and it's gonna sound like musicians trying to do something a little more interesting because that's like Weezer are
Yeah,
musicians,
he
pop
even
band.
like on this
But-
album kind of just told everyone I'm gonna do something different. I
But
don't really
because
care.
because of the production, a lot of that gets kind of buried. I feel.
Well, I feel like that's part of the experiment.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's
And
it didn't to
I
me. For me,
feel-
it didn't work most of the time.
See, I feel like this was more of an experiment in Weezer's mind, whereas Linkin Park, when they did a similar thing, were trying to make a great pop album.
Yeah,
And like, it makes me like more okay with Weezer's choice to do it because I know that the next album's gonna be something new. That's what I'm left with. I'm like, whatever I feel about this, I kind of still want to see what Weezer's gonna do next. So I mean, it's not the end, but it wasn't the worst thing. Is I guess where I'm going with it. We've all given grades now. Everybody satisfied over there?
4. I don't think I gave it a grade, but yeah, I give it a 4.
Okay. See, it
4.
was a good thing to double check.
did I give a grade?
You did. You gave it a
Did
4.
you?
I did
This
give
is
it a
the first
4.
song that all of us have seemed to have given a generally favorable feeling to. So that
Okay.
La Mancha
tells you
Screwjob.
The Mancha Screwjob is the next track, everyone, because I don't think it was audible what he said there.
Hanging out on a summer night, we're getting stronger.
This felt to me like the theme song of a sitcom. Like it did the same thing that theme for That 70s Show did to me.
And this song could be the plot line of that sitcom because
Yeah.
it's basically like, hey, relationship's good, but I'm a fuck up and I screwed it up. Screw job. Get it? See, Rivers is clever. Anyway, and then he admits that he
Wordplay.
like messes up relationships and stuff. Honestly, I at this point I'm like, is this a concept album? Like, is there a story here that I'm not really getting? Like, I don't know why the whole album appears to be about disillusionment and women. Maybe like
I
Rivers
think-
is a bit depressed or
I think
something.
it's supposed to be a tribute to California pop.
Okay.
Like I think that's what they were going for as a theme in general.
But like at this point, it's more like another song on this subject, Rivers. It made it harder for me to get into it. I actually think it's pretty decent as a standalone track. Not considering anything else on the album, if I had just encountered this, it's not bad. It's another decent popish Weezer song. It's pretty non-distinct at this point. Like, I've heard 3 or 4 versions of this song already on this album with similar sounds.
Yeah.
Maybe this one's a bit different. And it was the first time I was really hit with, this didn't need to be here. And considering it's already 10 tracks, to be able to say that is not a good or strong thing. But this song did not need to be on this album. And its title's weird. It's like, he has this obsession with Mexicans. He mentioned Mexicans multiple, like he named the song. Then in Beach Boys, he's like walking near the Mexicans and like, I'm like, why, Weezer? Like, why? Like, maybe you're near Mexico and it's a part of your reality, but it just is weird to me. And I say La Mancha Screwjob. I'm like, why did you name it that? Like, it's just weird. I'm not feeling it, Weezer. That's how I'm feeling on that track. And I give it a 4 because it's a decent track. It's not bad. It's not even that boring. It's just not like at this point, what is there? What is it, you know?
I would agree with you on that because I don't really know how to elaborate on this song. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's like another one of the songs. It's like they had an extra one and they just put it in. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like if any song didn't belong, it would have been Sweet Mary. Just,
But at least
get rid of that.
See, the thing is, Sweet Mary did have a different sound to it.
It did.
So
but
this was redundant. That's what I meant. Like, this is like when we're saying it, usually it's because we've already had multiple songs like this on the album.
yeah. But this one is fun. Like it's got a big hook and it's got a strong hook. I think had it maybe been placed a little earlier on the album,
You're
you might
right.
have felt a little differently.
You are 100% right about that.
Yeah.
agree.
Having
But-
said that, it does again. It feels a lot like Weezer by numbers, but to say that like it feels almost fresh for me to be able to say that for this album. So mixed feelings there, but I really feel like in the right context, this song could be a banger. Like maybe if you use it as the actual theme song for a show, get people singing along to it.
Like that Bare Naked Ladies song for The Big
Our
Bang
whole
Theory.
universe was in a
Okay, I lied.
hot
That's a
state.
good song all the
That's a
time, and
great
you should just
fucking
go
song.
listen to it. I've been on a Bare Naked Ladies run. They're amazing.
The Bare Naked Ladies are amazing. I give this song a 4.
I give it a 4 too. And you?
3.5 or 4 between.
So 3.7.
I feel bad.
It's okay.
I
You
feel
can do
bad.
that.
They don't need you. They've got enough
seriously, you do not need to feel bad. Like, I give it a 4. If you gave it less than a 4, that's your opinion. You're entitled to that. You know, that's. I feel like the number one mantra of life of the last little era is you should be allowed your opinion.
True.
Like we've had segments on this show where like one of us is given a 5 and the other one's given a 2. Sometimes it's that
contrasted, although a lot less since certain people are no longer here. But yes, that has happened.
Hashtag free ABBA.
Hashtag any friend of Diane's.
Oh.
Kristen has something to say.
I do. No, I don't know. I just find that I generally don't really. Not every song is annoying, but I still find that a lot of the songs that have like a name in them are annoying. So like when you have a name of a person.
So she hates Hey There Delilah. She hates Eleanor Rigby.
I hate Hey
I hate Hey There Delilah too. I love Kim.
But keep going, Syd. Let her finish her point.
No, but no, that's the thing. I'm not making a generalization to every single song ever. It's just from.
But you had like a specific point related to repetition that annoyed you.
I don't know. I find it's a very repetitive song, and it's the exact same sentence.
And it's
that's what she was elaborating on off camera.
And I'm not a fan of that, and I mean, some people are, and so it's not a criticism to the song. It's just the way I feel about songs like that.
I dug the song. I thought it was a strange as fuck album closer for this album, right? So this song is like about whoever the fuck Diane is. I don't know if it's a real person or not. And this is some chick that again he met back in the day who apparently was with some other guy and whatever. But then she was really like, he was clearly in love with her or really into her, and she would help him with the shows and shit. And then he got famous and she got sick. And you're like, oh, that's sad. And then he like blew up, and we're kind of left not knowing what happened to her. But he kind of makes it sound like bad news things happened, and it's kind of cool to have this fresh take on a subject, at least, where it's almost like he's reminiscing this very close person that is no longer with him, almost like maybe the whole album's about this same person, and he's just like reminiscing on older days or something. But you're right, that chorus is kind of repetitive, but I loved it. I thought it was so warm, and it was the way he delivered it. It wasn't so much what lyrics were used. It was, you got this serious sense that he really missed this person, and he really, like, this person makes him feel like home. And sometimes you just have those relationships in life where that does happen. And I could appreciate where he was coming from. The verses were okay. They were more coherent, more, like, he had something to say. And he even goes as far as to say, I don't even know how to say how much I have to say on this subject in this song. But again, nothing like, there's no excellence here. It's just another good song for this already weird album. And I gave it a 4. It's not my favorite. It's not one of the bad ones. It's got a good vibe, but there's almost nothing that I've heard that was super enthralling either on it.
I actually thought that this song was more interesting than most of what else is going on. It's kind of a mishmash. Because there's that like that like little guitar lick that leads into something completely different, but like a super left turn change right away, and I felt like this song kind of goes through styles like a Michael Bay movie goes through explosions.
Okay.
Like it meshes it all into one, basically like standard structured pop song. But if you actually really listen to it, there's a mishmash of a lot of different things going on very, very quickly. And I like, this is really the first song, and it's track 10, it's the last track, and it's the first song that the guitar has really had kind of a lead role, like a starring role.
Yes.
Which again is weird for a Weezer album because they are very,
that's what I mean, like it's
guitar-driven music.
It's a weird choice to close this album on.
Yeah, but I really like the song.
Agreed.
Because it's very interesting, just the way that it goes heavy and soft in a matter of seconds. I dug the hook as well. I gave the song a 4.2.
I'm still sticking with
because
my 4.
I agree with you. It's weird as a closer. But I don't think any of these songs would have worked as a closer. I don't think they wrote a closer for this album.
I don't think it works on this album. I think it works on a completely different project.
What if it opened for it? That would be interesting.
Yeah, but then it would have been some serious bait and switch. So
Yeah.
it makes more sense.
But that's kind of what the song is. Like, it just does that all the way through. It kind of like, you think it's going to be a heavy track, and then it kind of goes into this
Yeah,
light, fluffy,
but
and then...
It sounds like a happy conclusion to the album. Like there's all this different stuff going
But
on,
it's
and then at the
still
end
so
it's like,
sad as everything else on this album. I don't know. What'd you give it?
I would give it I think musically I'd give it a 4. It's just like my own interest in this song that
That's
I didn't
okay.
like, but I think it was still great.
So yeah, I guess that wraps up Weezer's album here, Pacific Daydream. I don't know, man. This is a strange album. I don't know how you're gonna like it or not. If you're a Weezer fan, it would be so cool to hear what you think, like real Weezer fans, not like me, this fake ass poser Weezer fan here on the couch, you know.
I'm
But-
curious to see like if this album grows on me, because I know you said Feels Like Summer grew on you
It really
over the
did.
summer. And again, I
And
really
over the
don't
fall.
I don't care for that track, but I feel like it could grow on me, and I feel that way for a
But-
couple of these tracks.
I also don't feel like there's anything really wrong with the album too. It's a lot of like, I find it uninteresting.
It is
some
very
regards.
very safe, even by Weezer standards.
So I give it a 3.9 because it's well-made fluff for the most part. But it's really well-made fluff. Like, it's not bad. There's a couple of good songs, as we said. A lot, but only a couple of boring songs. It's a lot of weird. I think that was my impression. Like, this
Yeah.
was the strangest album in a while that we've covered. And
And you know
I'm
what?
okay with
Mad
that.
respect for the experiment.
exactly. So I'm not trying to be mean. 3.9 is a solid mark, but by no means is this a classic Weezer album. It's going to be one of those ones that has a lot of people who can defend it and a lot more people calling Weezer a bunch of sellouts. That's my prediction.
Which is not what we're doing.
Not at all. I'm not one to call artists sellouts. And in fact, if you get paid for producing art, props to you.
Are you gonna?
Yes. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's your
Did you
turn.
already give your?
I did not.
You did
okay,
not,
so
but
it's my turn. Oh,
It's
okay.
your
You want to
turn.
go last? All right.
Ladies first.
I mean, I think that when
Chivalry's not dead.
when you asked me to review this, right, and I thought, okay, Weezer, I just was not expecting to hear this, and then I kind of just skimmed through the songs, and then it was like, no, I have to listen to this. It's not my kind of music. It's really
yeah,
not.
that happens.
But then it's weird because I just I played it through, and I actually ended up repeating one or two of the songs because like this is actually pretty cool, and it like even in a short amount of time, it somewhat grew on me in the sense that like I guess not that I adapted to it, I liked it. So I mean it's not a bad album at all, and it's not like they made a mistake or they went in the complete wrong
Definitely
direction
no mistakes
or
in the
anything.
recording.
Well, I can't
You
say
didn't
that.
get the
I'm not a
meaning of
sound
it.
engineer. So what did you give it?
I would give it a 4. I think
Okay.
it's still a good album.
I'm gonna go prices right here for 3.9, 3.8.
I just do an average, actually, of my songs, just so you know. I literally...
We know.
That's the number. She might not know.
I
do
explained it
not
to her.
know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're educated.
you
Oh,
didn't
for your
know?
final. Okay, for the
Nobody
final
listens
score.
to
I
you,
thought you
can
meant
you?
What
for.
you-
I thought you meant for every song, and
Yeah,
then
no,
I was
no.
wondering.
That's how I calculate my average for the album. But you don't have to do that. That's what I do. But your 4 is good. Nobody's objecting to that except maybe that guy on YouTube who might object to that.
Tell us what you thought of this
You didn't
album.
give a grade, did you?
I did. I just gave it a 3.8.
All
Price is right.
Shut up, Holden. Okay, so tell us what you think of the album. But more importantly, thank you for watching. Because
Thank
like
you.
before, appreciations and shit.
Yeah.
Comments. We like the long
appreciate it.
ones.
There's
Um,
links probably
Stuff. No.
there
There's
and
I don't know.
there.
I don't know when they
Usually
pop
down,
up.
but, like,
No,
or-
stuff will pop up here at some point in the
Yeah.
last 20 seconds. I don't care when.
If we could make stuff just pop up as we're flashing our hands,
I
that would
would-
be
I would-
Well, you
super
can.
awesome.
It
but
just
we-
takes time.
The more we talk, the less
Yeah.
likely that is to happen. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you care about reviewing. If there's any upcoming albums you like, let her know how awesome she was. And
First time.
yeah, woot.
Yeah.
All right.
She might be coming back.
Maybe.
Tell her you want her to come back.
Yeah.
It would
Unless
be
you hate
nice.
her, in which case she's banned.
And then still tell her you want to come back. All right.
Yes.
On that note, have a great week, everybody. Peace and love and all that crap.